Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And may I just be the first to wish, I love this season between Thanksgiving and Christmas. May I just wish my Jewish friends a blessed Hanukkah. I think it starts next week. My Christian friends, the merriest of Christmas, and everyone else, happy holidays. I just love the holidays. It's just fun. Love decorating, love the gift giving, love the family time, the food. Oh my gosh. The problem is, I think I've already put on my 10 pounds of holiday weights. I don't know if I can put on another, I don't know if I can go through the whole holidays, but we'll give it a good try. This is also a good time when you're going to see your transition. There's just a few plants left with fall color. Most of them have dropped their leaves from that last windstorm we had. There's a few. I just shot a picture of flowering pears. They're kind of the last tree to turn red in the fall of the year. They'll always carry you into the first part of December, and then they'll finally drop their leaves. The next windstorm, they'll drop their leaves. I love flowering pears. Now, these do not put on actual pears, fruiting pears, but they're related to them. They have the same pear leaf, same waxy leaf. It gets up to about 30 feet tall, 30, 35, somewhere in there, and wide, great shade tree, robust with that waxy leaf. It just really is drought hardy. But its real claim to fame are twofold. One, the fall color. It's the last tree to turn fall in the year. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's fire engine red. But it's counter. In spring, it has this beautiful white flower, like bridal white flower. And it's covered before it sets a leaf. It is just absolutely, it's a solid ball of white. And it's real pretty. It's one of those pollinators for bees when they first come out. They're foraging, very hungry in the very early spring, usually April, end of March even. It'll go into bloom. And so it's got a great, and then shade tree in the fall. It's got an interesting bark to it. It's not quite like aspen white, but it's very light gray. It's very pretty out in the yard. So that's what's going on right now. The maples, they're pretty much done. The sumacs, they've been over for 2-3 weeks. They've been naked. They've been bare, or deciduous is what we call that. A deciduous tree, deciduous shrub. And there's evergreen trees and shrubs. Doesn't mean they're always green. It means they always have foliage on them. So some of your junipers, that last cold snap, they started to go from green to light gray or purple, or they have different hues to them. Your nandinas, or heavenly bamboos, if they're out in the full sun, as it gets cooler, they'll actually get this beautiful red color to them. So they've got foliage on them, so they're defined as evergreen. But really, an evergreen can have this changing color, the foliage, as the daylight, length of day gets shorter and shorter. It changes colors as the temperature changes. It changes color. As there's frost, it changes different kinds of colors. And you'll find that shade is different from sun. Out in the sun, they get more color, actually. More in the shade, they'll stay that same, just green. They're truly just evergreen. And so it's just, plants are so fascinating in how they react and the microclimates that they're put into. This last week, I wrote an article on hardiness zones. What is our growing zone? What does that even mean? USDA zone, hardy zones. Let me just quickly define that, because it's a question that often comes up. That's the reason I put that article out there. If you want that article, take a look. It's at watersgardencenter.com under blog. It'll be the first blog. You can't miss it. Every week I write an article that's thematic, that's right for the season, and it's right there. So our USDA zone, this is the national zone, and it's rating by how cold will plants go down to. And so we need plants in this middle central highlands area, the center part of Arizona, really from Kingman down to Spring Valley, Cordes Junction, all the way over to really Cottonwood, Payson, Sedona. back over to Prescott Valley, Dewey, Humboldt. We're all the same zone pretty much. We're a zone 7. Okay, it might vary a little bit. Jerome, you might be a zone 8 because you're up there on that hillside. You get that sunlight, first sunlight right there. You're east facing. It's perfect for growing things in containers. Just the soil's terrible, but you can grow the cold hardiness. It's a zone 8. Kingman, you're going to be a zone 8. Cordes Junction, zone 8. Really, Skull Valley, Hillside, Kirkland, zone 8. Prescott Valley, Dewey, Humboldt, zone 7. And so a zone 8 can grow a zone 7 plant, or 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can grow that. You just can't grow higher. So if yours is a zone 6, let's say Flagstaff, Williams, you all are going to be a zone 5 or 6. You need plants that can go sub-0. So every year you all get below 0. You need plants that can handle that. They've got enough antifreeze within the structure of that plant to take on that cold and go, yeah, I'm fine. No worries here. And they come out in spring and go, let's bloom again. Let's put on foliage. Just put on more fruit again. You need plants that are a zone 5 or a 4 or a 3, 2, 1. So you need plants that can go down to minus 10 degrees or lower. But not a zone 7. You can't grow zone 7 up there. You need plants because they would get killed off. But in Prescott, we're a zone 7. So we can grow zone 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we got more range, more variety, more options for us. The higher the number. Once you get into Phoenix, that's when it gets kind of funky. Down there's a zone 10, 11, 12s, Palm Springs. There it's desert plants. If you even look at those things cold, they'll die. So there, you can't grow let's say a lilac tree or Rose of Sharon's or some of these zone 7 plants down there. It gets too hot. Yeah, you can cheat it, you gardeners. I never tell a gardener what they can or can't do. They'll always find a way. They'll create microclimates. They'll put it in the shade, put some shade cloth over it. They'll protect it. They'll make it go. But generally speaking, the Joe average guy, or if you just don't want to work that hard, you want to stick with your zone. The Phoenix is going to be zone 10, really 10, 9, 8 range. 7s, they're just going to burn up in the summer down there. But up here, we can grow all those perennials. Most of your perennials are going to be a zone 5, 6, or 7. That's echinaceas and gaillardias and salvias, all the exotic, beautiful grasses that we grow. We're so famous for up here. You can grow all of those up here. And they'll take the cold. They might go underground like a perennial does, but it will come back fresh from the ground. And you have a whole new plant. And so most of your fruit trees are zone 7, 6, 5, 4, somewhere in that range. These are all your apples and pears and cherries. They do wonderfully up here. They can take our cold and come right back out of it. So zones, your USDA zone, that you need to know what your zone is. And I had put a zip code calculator. I actually linked into the federal site, the USDA federal gauge. It's here, put your zip code in. It'll tell you what your zone is. If you're really in doubt, come talk to your local garden centers. We know what our zones, and your neighborhood will know what your neighborhood's zone is. But in general, we're going to be a zone 5, 6, 7 here in the maybe 8 for those outlying areas, the lower elevations, 4,000 foot to 4,500, somewhere in there. You all are a zone 8. If we're in that 6,000 square foot or altitude, we're going to be a zone 6, 7. If you're above that, you're going to be a zone colder, so probably a zone 5 or 6. And that's what that is. We're all pretty much the same. When that storm races across the desert and hits us, that snow and that cold dumps on all of us. In fact, interesting, where the washes are, it's actually colder. You're actually a zone colder than up on the hilltops. Warm air rises. Cold air sinks and almost runs like a river through those dry washes. And so that's why you don't want to plant that new peach tree or apple tree next to that dry wash. You really want it up on the hillside, just out of that cold, so it doesn't get frosted when it's got that new blossom in spring or new fruits coming on. So that's zones in a nutshell. We went into depth with examples and photos and lists. If that's of interest, look at watersgardencenter.com, blog It'll be right there. We have Lisa Waters Lane coming in with your garden questions right after this.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
The holidays are here in Arizona's Christmas City, bringing family closer and those chilly winter winds.
While you're decorating the outside, don't forget to brighten up the inside with exotic Christmas plants from Waters.
Beautiful Christmas cactus and poinsettia are coming to town, grown exclusively by Waters in colors you won't find anywhere else.
Unique, vibrant, and guaranteed to warm even the dreariest winter day.
Check your list twice for exotic Christmas plants at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Look, if your wife, mom, or dad wants a sweater for Christmas, get them a sweater, not some piece of plastic.
But if someone you truly care about loves their garden, a gift card to Waters makes perfect sense.
Next spring, she can pick out exactly what she was hoping for.
We all know it's not the same thing as a huge hanging basket or a fragrant rose, but hey, it's winter. Gardeners understand.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. Also at watersgardencenter.com. You've been listening to Ken Lane, the Mountain Gardener. Green thumbs learned while working in the Family Garden Center. Now welcome back to the Mountain Gardener.
And we are back with Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about? What are we seeing? There's always a wave of customers with the same thing, same interest, same questions. And so we try to share that. And that's the format for this. But first of all, let me just introduce someone that's, my hiking buddy. Lisa and I went hiking up in southern Utah, Kanab area, basically. So if you follow us at all on Facebook, either through the garden center or personally, you saw some great photos. So was that inspirational? Or I love Utah.
And Arizona.
And we've got a houseboat in Page. So we use that. I mean, it's cold up there. So we said, we're not launching the runabout. We'll just stay here. We'll go up and just find different slot canyons and hike around. So we found a road that actually went up to Warm Creek. You could drive into Warm Creek. This is the other side of Wahweap, and park your car and skip rocks and have lunch. And
it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Stunning.
And nobody's there this time of year.
Which is kind of frightening. If you break down, no one is there.
Can I call AAA from behind the cove?
Yeah. No. The answer is no. We went, those that are familiar with that area, Wiregrass Canyon. It's big water. Hook a right and head north, and you'll run into Wiregrass Canyon. It is spectacular. A slot
Beautiful.
canyon that goes from big water down to Lake Powell. Spectacular. And we went up to Toadstool,
Yes.
which is, I didn't like that one as much.
And you didn't?
Pictures were great, but mass humanity, everyone. It was such a short hike. Everyone could go there.
There were 5 people there.
There probably are like 10 cars.
Okay.
I like
Maybe.
letting the dogs go and running. They just run with us and go around. That's. I don't like keeping leashes on a national park trail, and I feel bottled in. And the dogs don't like it either.
That's true, but that was one of the. Even there weren't many people. So
True.
if you desire solitude and quiet, and boy, that is the place to go. Beautiful hikes.
Cottonwood Road. Is that
Cottonwood
right? Past
Springs?
Cottonwood. Anyway, with Cottonwood something past Big Water. That's our next one. There's some spectacular oyster beds, fossilized.
Yeah.
Dinosaur tracks. Slot canyons. That's where we're going. I think we should go next month. You want to go?
So if you don't hear from us again, folks, go look for us.
That's right.
Up by Lake Powell somewhere. I'm sure you can find us.
Anyway, garden questions. What do we got this week for just what are people talking about?
Sure. So our first question is from Chris, and she would like to know, can you grow kumquats in the Prescott area? And if so, do they do better on the side of a hill or on a flat land?
The answer is no. There you go. You can grow them. We'll have them in miniature form, dwarf varieties, but they're grown in containers. And right now, they would have died this week because the cold storm that came in. They don't like to go down past mid to high 20s.
Are they citrus?
They're citrus.
Okay.
Yeah, they're citrus. So persimmons you can grow. That's not a citrusy plant. It's actually not even a pitted fruit. What is a persimmon? I have no idea.
I don't know.
Besides delicious. It's kind of like a plum crossed with a apricot crossed with I don't know. Apricots, plums, they all grow outdoors. Apples and pears, they all grow outdoors, but not orange, kumquats, limes, lemons. They have to be grown in containers. They're brought indoors as a houseplant this time of year. So they can be done. It's just you need a little bit bigger house. This is going to be a bush that's going to get 3 by 3 by 3 size houseplant. So anyway, or have a friend that you know down in Phoenix. They could grow them all day long down there. They just don't winter over up here, unfortunately.
It is a bummer, but hey, that's why we live here.
We should cover this too. Avocados, it's the same. They don't grow here. All the Southern Cal folks, the Phoenix Desert, Palm Springs, Tucson, no, all those things that grow there, they don't grow here.
Do olives grow here?
No.
Okay.
I've heard rumors that they can grow up toward the Verde, down in those areas. There's some folks trying them. There's some new hardier varieties. So we've got an olive in a container, dwarf variety at our house. It's definitely a borderline, and it is an extreme experiment. We don't sell them at the garden center yet, but if we can get this one to winter over with us, we might introduce a few for those brave gardeners that want to try. They're just bored, not brave, bored. They want to try something new. Well, here you go. So, but no, there's figs grow. Grapes do fantastic.
We can do a lot here.
Yeah, we can. Focus on things we can grow.
There you
Don't
go.
focus on things that you want to grow. Anyway,
Okay.
best garden advice I can give you.
That works. Our next question is from Sean. He had a Austrian pine planted at the end of October.
Yeah.
Would like to know how frequently should he be watering it at this point?
That's a good question, actually. We're having quite a few folks ask that because as the drip systems get turned off, people are wondering. There, it's twice a month. So the plants are not using very much moisture. What you're trying to do is take the edge off so the soil around the plant does not dry out. And this system that we had, it's not enough. So maybe the soil, maybe that moisture went in 6-7 inches, maybe, if you had a lot of rain. Some of you are on the backside of Granite Mountain. You got half the rain that, let's say, parts of Prescott did. So it just depends on where you're at and how the clouds form, how it rained. So there, I would say, just turn that drip system on a couple times a month and water. Or water by hand. If you got just 1 or 2 plants, you could take the hose out and take a nice day in January and just go water your plants, give them a deep soak. I'm not talking a sprinkle, a spit. I'm talking a real serious deep soak. Get the entire root zone moist. That plant will form new candles, new buds, and just erupt with new growth next spring. Keep them healthy.
Good. Okay. Next question is from Danielle. She wants to know if she can move a volunteer pinyon pine to a different spot in her yard. And if so, is now a good time to do it?
Yeah, I got to cover that some. If it's really, really small, I mean, under 3 feet, really under 2 feet, 18 inches, yes, maybe it will transplant. But if they're bigger, no, it's not even worth the energy. I mean, they die almost to the transplant, no matter how many nutrients we give it, no matter how we prep the soil. It's because of the way the root structure grows. We don't have enough to cover that here at this segment, but I would say, no, you're better off coming in, spending $40-$50 and buying a pinyon pine, and so you've got 100% chance of it growing. But if you're a gardener and you're bored, try it. See what happens. It's been my experience. I've tried it dozens of times. It's just what we've seen. But if you want to try it and you got one and it's in the way, go for it. Come in and talk to us. We've got a root and grow, an organic composted tea that is like magic for transplant shock. It'll help it form new root hairs. That's probably the best chance you're going to have for that new native plant transplanted to a new part of the yard.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I had. Normally, we talk so much we don't get them all.
I'll hang out with you.
One thing I want to say, because this has happened twice this week.
Yeah.
We've had people dig up their lilacs who have gone dormant. Lilacs go dormant. They like to lose their leaves and go to sleep for the winter.
Ridiculous.
Twice this week, I've had someone dig them up and bring them in going, it's dead. I'm going, no, it's not dead.
No, I would put that in the category of stupid.
No.
Can I go that far?
You cannot.
It's a deciduous plant. I mean, look at your neighbors. All the plants are losing their leaves.
Be
Come
nice.
on. Okay.
They're new to the area.
Take a breath.
New to landscaping. New to
Desert dwellers. Getting used to the mountains.
I always say, if you're not sure, take a picture.
Yeah.
Come in and talk to us. Call us.
Yeah.
We can give you advice and tell you what's right, what's wrong, is it alive, is it a dead? There's ways we can help you with that instead of pulling these poor little plants out by their root hairs.
If that happens, you could go back and put it in the ground. It would totally take because it's dormant. Especially if you gave it some of that root and grow, that magic stuff I was mentioning about the pinyon pine. It'll help it reroot. It's just you're starting over. You lost those root hairs that were forming. So now you got to start over. It's like you're starting from scratch. And so, come talk to a professional before you search Google, figure out what you should do. Talk to someone local, a neighbor. Here's someone that's got to know gardens out there. Okay, Ken and Lisa Lane and the Mountain Gardeners. We will be right back.
You're listening to Ken Lane, a.k.a. the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Garden Center. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain gardens.
Hi, Waters with this week's Plant of the Week, our True Blue Fat Albert Spruce.
At just 15 feet, this is the ideal evergreen for small gardens, excellent in front yards with limited space.
The color is so blue all year long with the perfect evergreen shape.
Dense, durable, and loves the sun, so it works well as a windbreak, screen, or sound barrier, and only found at
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love the perfect blue spruce love to shop.
The holidays are here in the Christmas City, bringing family and friends together, and those chilly winter winds. While you're decorating the outside, don't forget to brighten your inside with exotic holiday plants from Waters. Beautiful poinsettias and Christmas cactus are coming to town, grown exclusively for Waters in colors you won't find anywhere else. Unique, vibrant, and guaranteed to warm up even the dreariest of winter days. Check your list twice for all of the holiday plants only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Join the conversation every week as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Now welcome back your host, Ken Lane.
So the yard can look a little messy right now with all those leaves. It's rolling around, kind of blowing into corners. How important is it to rake up all those leaves or needles as far as that goes? If you folks up in that, the Timber Ridge, Highland Pines, up in those pine forests, the pine trees drop a lot of needles right now. So everything's going into their winter mode. And so how much is too much is really the question. So if you've got lawns or flower beds or vegetable gardens, you really don't want those leaves to settle on top of that lawn. Like I've got a thyme lawn, like creeping thyme, and leaves, I've got a maple right on top of it, and leaves have dropped. And I'm trying to keep those leaves sort of raked up. I just want sunlight to get down to the foliage of my creeping thyme. Otherwise, if it stays under that layer for more than a week or two, you'll start to get rotting, or it will start to go subterranean. That thyme will go underground because it can't see the sunlight. Molds start to happen, so it gets too wet, stays too moist underneath the leaves. It creates kind of this shell or this top dressing that is okay for a little bit, but you really don't want it to stay on there. So it is important to rake leaves up, to rake needles up. The way that junipers and pine trees operate, this is purely defense. They know that there are limited resources in the forest. And so what they'll do is they'll shed their needles or their conifers. So if you got a needle to them, whether it's a juniper, Arizona cypress, Theodore cedar, pine tree, whatever it is, it's shedding. So directly underneath the foliage, you'll see this leaf litter or pine straw, as what it's defined as, pine mulch. And so it's looking to bury everything underneath it. Literally, it'll try to shed as many as it can to bury so no plant would dare want to set a seed and start to grow underneath this. Not only that, but some plants, like your native alligator junipers, they actually taint the soil. They put poisons in it so nothing can grow except it. It likes this kind of soil, but nothing else does. And so you won't find a lot of different kinds of plants growing underneath these plants. Well, that's fine if it's out in the forest. But if it's in your own backyard and you've got a piece of art underneath that and you're trying to downlight it and uplight it and have gardens underneath, you need to clean up some of these pine needles. Then, so many of us tuned in, this broadcast range goes from the wildland interface and the wildfire interfaces. So we've got a lot of this interaction with the forests that are out there, and we need to think in terms of defense. How do I protect my home from fire, from animals, from different things that are in the forest? And fire is one of those big things that we need to think about. Not everyone here cares about that. I understand. You don't have that worry about pine, that wildfire getting up in the canopies of the pinyon pines, the ponderosas, and it just rages through neighborhoods. Everything is vaporized before their eyes. I mean, just it's dangerous. You need to think in terms of how can I keep that fire from, how can I help the firefighters fight this fire through my yard? And what pine needles do, they're kind of like they're like a matchstick. They're like a fuse. And so if we can keep that fire down on the ground and easy to maintain, the firefighters can fight that all day long. The second it jumps up into the canopies, it's just run. There's no saving anything. Just get out of there because it's way too dangerous. And then the wind gets to it and it just carries it quickly, like the speed of wind. That's how fast it can travel. But if we can keep that fire on the ground with simple pruning, keeping you folks in those areas, I'm not going into, that's not for this show. Got a whole lesson on just how to prevent wildfires, how to mitigate that with landscaping. But the pine needles, a few are good. But if you've got more than, let's say, 3 or 4 inches of pine needles, it's getting dangerous. Now, all of a sudden, there's fuel there for it to burn through. So you want to clean that up, rake some of it up. Don't rake all of it up because now your pine trees become dry. They're exposed to sun burning, drying out the soils. Weeds can now compete. So help that plant compete to prevent weeds from growing, to keep the ground moist, to keep the sun off the root zones so the plant remains healthy, but remove most of it, except for about, again, the book says about 4 inches or less, but take most of those needles out so that burning, that smoldering fire can't creep across the ground and then ignite other things in the yard. Pine needles, they're good. Leaves, they're good. They're good mulch. Chew them up. I send mine all through the lawnmower. Then I'll top dress my flower beds. I'll top dress around my roses. It's like gold. It's perfect. It's great. Plants feed off of it. The worms love it. And so this is good stuff. But don't leave it on the lawn. Don't leave it out there where it just builds up and you don't maintain it until next spring. That's not so good. It's not as healthy for the gardens. So rake up at your convenience. Let it blow in the corners. That's fine. And then use it, add it to the compost bin or bag it, get it off there. But that's how you deal with fall in the mountains of Arizona. Be right back after this.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for timely garden advice right for higher elevations. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Hi, Lisa with the plants of the week and our Prescott, Alberta spruce.
This perfectly shaped tree displays dense green needles which are as soft as a teddy bear.
The perfect front yard Christmas tree for holiday lighting, and oh, so beautiful when matched in pairs at the front door.
Hand-grown, these are perfectly shaped and sized for home accents.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love twinkly little Christmas trees, they love to shop.
Look, if your wife, mom, or dad wants an ugly sweater for Christmas, get them a sweater, not some piece of plastic.
But if someone you truly care about loves their garden, a gift card to Waters makes perfect sense.
Next spring, she can pick exactly what she was hoping.
We all know it's not the same as a huge flower basket or fragrant rose, but hey, it's winter. gardeners understand.
Waters online gift cards are found at top10plants.com or at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening is very rewarding, with a few Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts sure to turn your thumbs even greener. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
Back in the studio is Lisa Waterslane. She comes each week and just shares her garden insight, her thoughts. What has she been meditating on throughout the week?
Deep thoughts.
That we can share over the airwaves that is uniquely from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so gardeners, you talk to any gardener, they've got 10 different thoughts at any given time on gardening.
Oh, yeah.
And so just so the show isn't boring, just me droning on and on about local gardens. Well, Lisa comes in and makes us, you make the airwaves sound better.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Yeah. So what do you got for us this week?
Well, you were talking about meditating. I've really been working hard this whole week to be thankful.
Oh, your Thanksgiving was great.
Track of things that I'm thankful for.
Sure.
And so that's kind of been nice. So what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for you. God's truly blessed us. I was thinking the other day, earlier in the week, I went, sharing COVID stuff, this new law coming in, anyone over 100 employees, which isn't us, but anyone. I've got friends that do have a lot of employees and going, well, this mandates and this kind of stuff. I'm going, we haven't had one case of COVID here in the garden center, in the staff, anywhere. I mean, a year and a half, not one case. I mean, I know I've got friends that went through the entire staff, throughout everyone in the company. It's crazy. Your sister just got it. She was vaccinated. She's a hygienist. The whole hygienist office got it. We are so blessed. I'm thankful for that I think God's looking after us more than we could possibly know. And we think we do all these things ourselves. We're so safe. We sanitize everything. Everything's spaced out. We're remodeled the whole store. But really, you can only do so much. And then kind of your guardian angel or there's providential things happening that look after you. I think that's the case. But anyway, I'm thankful for dinner Thursday out at your sister's place in Chino Valley. We didn't have to host. They did. We just brought a fruit salad. So that was so easy.
Yeah.
So
that is true. So lots of things to be thankful for this year as we move into the holiday season.
Holiday season.
I know. We're going to start playing Christmas music.
It's already on.
Played it yet. Yeah, that's true.
It's on. There we go.
Now all of a sudden, I'm playing it for the dogs now when I leave. I'm like, Christmas. Alexa, play Christmas.
We do have spoiled dogs. Yes, very much.
They are. But so this time of year, this is when we get the holiday plants in. So the poinsettias and the Christmas cactus. And there are some tricks to taking care of those that you enjoy them for the whole season.
Yeah.
So especially poinsettias, what I find here, a lot of people do a couple mistakes they make. Number one, they're buying them maybe at a grocery store or someplace that's like right near the front door. And every time those doors open and close, this blast of cold air comes on them. And they don't like that.
They're tropical plants. They're used to humid, moist, warm air. Yeah.
They really don't like that. Another thing, a mistake a lot of people make, they're coming from the Valley or California. Do not put your poinsettia outside.
No, that'd be bad.
I don't know how many times I see that and I drive by and I'm like, oh.
That's that desert influence up here. They would never do that in the Midwest or the East Coast. But here you got this culture that collides. Cold weather forest season with tropical desert folks, and they don't know. They just don't know what to do.
Right.
But that's why they're tuned in here to the Mountain Gardener.
They can become smarter.
That's right.
So don't put it outside. Don't put it in an area. Don't put poinsettias in areas where they're getting a lot of cold on them. So if you're like a front door that you go in and out of a lot, would not be a good spot. The other one is like under a heater vent so that the hot air is blowing on them. They don't like that either. So put them in a spot where temperatures are just kind of mild and even, and then the other thing with them is they like moisture, but they don't like to be wet.
Soggy wet. The roots. They don't like the roots to be consistent moist, but not soggy.
Right.
So it's a matter of drainage.
evenly moist, but
Got
not
it.
floating in water. So a lot of times when you buy those pretty poinsettias, you've got a foil wrap or something around them. Well, those don't drain. So people are watering, the water just kind of builds in there.
Yep.
They do not like that. And the centers will start just kind of falling out of them and leaves will drop off.
Yeah.
So just something to be careful of
So
for
take
those
them
guys.
out of that foil
when you
and water them
Mm-hmm.
in the sink or something.
Right.
When they're fine, when they're done dripping, put them back in the pretty sleeve,
right,
or the festive bow and stuff.
or whatever you've got.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
The other thing when you
How
water,
often should you water those?
it's going to depend on your house.
Yeah.
Probably
Once a week.
Once a week.
Okay.
The other thing is when you do water them with tepid to lukewarm water. Don't use that cold water right out of your sink.
Gotcha.
They're not real happy with it.
Yeah. They don't like the cold. They're basically Costa Rican plants,
Mm-hmm.
South Mexico. That's where they're natural. That's where they were found by the first botanist,
Mm-hmm.
Colonel Poinsett, I think was his name, back in the 1800s. So he found it. It was into plants. It's gone global. And so think in terms of Costa Rica and you're okay. You go out with your swimsuit, soak your feet in a nice coral beach. They'll be happy too.
Right. So a lot of pretty colors this year. We've got the white, we've got pink, we've got country quilt, which is kind of a red and white blotch. It's really a pretty plant. And then an ice one, which is kind of a red, white variegated. It's just really
that's pretty. Wow. Yeah. That's unusual.
So some nice ones.
So they're in
year.
now. So you've got them right there on the floor.
We got them.
And we'll have red through the season, but some of those unusual, different, you can't find them anywhere.
Those go fast.
Those will go fast. And once you're out, you can't get more. The crop is just gone. Yep.
Right. So get in early and shop early and enjoy your plants through the holidays. The other one is the Christmas cactus. So that's another one people love to give as gifts, or they're buying one for themselves because, great grandma Betty had one and they want to start the tradition, and they're getting those we have a lot of different colors of those, some really pretty striking ones, red and white variegated, some really pretty pinks and oranges and greens and whites.
Wow.
All different colors on those. So definitely come in and check those out because those do go really fast. But there again, they don't, even though they Christmas cactus, they're not really a true cactus. Don't put it outside.
No.
Don't put it in a hot window where the heat's going to come in on it and burn it. And the other thing with those, if you keep them too wet, they will drop every blossom they have. So they really do like to be on the dry side. Yeah. So you definitely don't want to overwater them. There again, when you do water, that nice tepid water this time of year is perfect for them. But if you've seen your blossoms drop, you're probably overwatering.
Gotcha. or really cold water.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, both of those will do that. So we do have both of those in stock right now. New orders, lots of selection. Got to check those out. A lot of people will bring in herbs, to decorate with, or they're cooking with through the holidays.
Like lavenders and rosemaries?
Rosemaries, oregano's, thyme. A lot of times you see them in the little tree form.
Yeah.
Where they've kind of topiaried them, made little trees out of them, which is kind of fun. It's a great thing to do, great way to decorate. But those guys don't overwater. People love to water things inside their house, I've noticed. So you just have to be really careful that you're not keeping things too wet.
Once a week? Once every 10, 14 days?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of depend. What you have now is the heater is on.
Right.
So the heater dries the air out inside your house, warms it up, but it dries it out. So if it's in a drafty area where it's getting a lot of blowing, it can dry out faster. You'll see pockets. It's a different watering this time of year just because the windows have closed up and the heater's going like crazy. Mm-hmm. And so that dries plants out differently than, let's say, it would in spring or
what the best
summer.
way to handle that?
No.
Get a moisture meter.
Yeah, well, there we go. That's a good stocking stuffer for gardener.
Moisture meters take the aggravation out of so many things and the guesswork, because things can look really dry on top, and then you stick that moisture meter in there. It's like, whoa, wet. So it can fool you. So moisture meter just takes the gas out, and you don't have.
I think it puts the joy in, all for $14.99. It's just they don't cost very much
they're very
no more
inexpensive.
guesstimates. It's just
Very
great.
true, very true. So I mean, now is a great time to everybody's decorating for Christmas. Now we're past Thanksgiving, so come in and check out the plants.
So I had someone ask, they've been pent up demand for Christmas cactus. They're hard to find. It's a limited crop.
Mm-hmm.
You will have them for about 2 weeks, lots of color, every size, every shape, every color. And then towards Christmas, we run out of colors and sizes. You have less choice. And by the week prior to Christmas, they're gone. They're not going to be there. So that's one. The weird colors, grab them. The interesting, different, new, grab them early. Mm-hmm. Don't wait until I'm going to go shopping later and I'll come in and get one later. They won't be here.
True.
So anyway, thank you, Lisa. Great. The Christmas, how to take care of the holiday plants in your yard, in your house, not yard, in your house. Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this.
Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website. Podcast the show, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook and Instagram at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com.
Hi, Waters with the plants of the week and our double pink Linton Rose.
Stunning double pink flowers dangle from this amazing perennial.
And this flower stands apart from the rest for its tremendous color impact that starts in midwinter and then holds its blooms right through spring.
So tough it's rarely bothered by bugs and completely deer-proof.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love new pink perennials, they love to shop. Hi, Ken here with the plants of the week and our Blue Diamond Spruce.
The rock star of the evergreen world, it glows silver blue as it reaches 15 feet tall in the perfect evergreen shape.
These trees are big, bold, and beautiful, ideal for highlighting garden beds or used as privacy screens. Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love perfect blue evergreens, they love to shop.
Welcome to the Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane. Gardening in the mountains is different. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now for better advice that works locally, welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And we are back. You are tuned into the Mountain Gardener, your host, Ken Lane. But the beauty of having a studio right here in your own garden center, you're connected with gardeners. You know the trends. You know what people are asking, which is great. And then also you can interview folks that are just really interesting. And one of the most interesting gals I know in my world is Amy Langley. She's actually one of our managers here. But the reason Amy is so interesting, she's our color trend pottery consultant. You want style, you talk to Amy. Welcome to the studio, Amy.
Well, thank you, Ken.
Yeah, so you have had the 2020 pottery show up.
Yes, I have.
So the colors are fabulous. I love the new textures. So
Thank you.
Texture seems to be the thing. But this is one of those things you need to follow the trends. I thought, we need to have an interview. You need to come on and tell us. So you actually fly up to the factories and you see the styles. You hand pick for this region.
Absolutely.
The colors and styles you think would work for customers. And you're out actually in the field. You go on consults. You go to people's homes. You go, this is the style you want. Here's the size you need. Here's the color you want. So how do you pull that off? We need to share that.
Well,
need to know.
Doing the in-home consultations has been incredibly helpful with buying our pottery. For one thing, you get to go to these folks' houses, and a lot of them are just moving here. They're not sure what's going to grow. They want to know what's going to work best for them. But also at the same time, while I help pick their plants, I get to see what's going on in the styles in new homes. And so we have, right now, I would say, a really amazing color trend. We have the most incredible selection of blues, greens, just these really gorgeous colors that pop with a lot of our neutral colored houses. And a lot of the new homes, the builds are so different. So there's all different kinds of spaces that people have nowadays. They have short posts, they have tall walls, they have all different shapes and sizes of things they want to perk up, basically. I mean, let's face it, a lot of our new homes are beige.
Yeah, they're boring.
Beige.
Utterly boring.
Yes,
I
desert beige.
I love the new textures, the front, they got the lick and stick rock look kind of thing, but they're still just beige.
Yes.
I mean, the shingles are beige, yeah.
So
They
you
need
can
help.
totally liven up any space with just a gorgeous colored pot. And this year, what we really concentrated on was to vary our colors and our shapes more than anything, because now I really feel like we have something for absolutely everybody. We have tall, slender pots. We have short ones that are almost squat. We have large mouth, round planters that look absolutely amazing on those about chest-high posts that people have on their walls, their concrete walls. And, I'm really excited about it.
I can tell. I am too. I mean, you had the entire parking lot clogged for a week processing 2 semi-loads of
Sorry.
pottery. No, that's good. But I came out and I said, Amy, Christmas trees are coming like Tuesday.
Yes, I know.
All this stuff
I'm
has
well
to be
aware.
out of here. Get it out of here.
I'm well aware.
So it's kind of the pressure's on. The seasonality is changing. But I was helping a customer. He had a big pottery order. I was trying to match some colors and doing the style thing. And he goes, well, I need a couple pairs that match. Maybe I should wait till spring. I'm going, listen, Bob, don't wait. Here you can get, now you've got matching pairs. You've got the best selection. If you wait until spring, this is the pottery that will carry us through spring. It's not like we're going to get more. You can just go get another truckload of pottery. This
And it
stuff's
was more than a truckload.
heavy. It's big. So you get it in full container loads. And so you want to be there at the front edge, not the back end where you've got not the leftovers, but there's less pairs to pick from.
Right. Now is definitely the best time for the best selection.
Yeah. And then also something to watch, just with pots. We've been doing pottery for a lot of decades. We've been importing direct from overseas for many years. Really be careful if you're from the Southwest areas. Be really careful of what you're buying. So we have this heavy influence of Phoenix pottery. So this is Mexican clay. It's terracotta, earth tones, clay pots, this heavy Spanish, bright colors, which fits the Southwest style. But those kinds of pots do not winter over.
They don't.
They don't take our freeze and thaw. So you go up and hand pick the varieties that winter over with us. They actually will last.
The last thing we want is somebody who falls in love with a pot and they go home and they put their favorite plants in it and then it cracks in half over the winter. And that's an unhappy customer. That's me unhappy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We get egg on our face.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
the worst.
We have to have the best here. We have hot summers. We have cold winters. But then, for the rest of the year, it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, you bet. So now, what is the trend right now? So you're seeing blues. That's good.
Blues and
earth
greens.
tones. Blues and greens, kind of an earth tone.
We definitely have a lot of earth tones, too, for the folks who like more neutral colors and that rustic look. And then we got some really new stuff, which I'm excited about, which was inspired by one of my clients, Catherine and Lee, in Prescott Lakes. I went to their home for a consultation. Lovely folks. They have this gorgeous kitchen that has this almost like a citrusy lime green paint, and it's so bright and so cheerful. So I got pots that same color with Catherine in mind. And
for indoors or for outdoor use?
Either one.
Either one. So I saw a lot of houseplants are a trend. So
They are,
this is rocketing up as far as gardening goes. But if you have a houseplant, you can't just you got this $2,000 sofa, window coverings, new flooring.
You don't want a plastic pot.
You don't want a plastic pot. You need a nice container for your houseplants to show off. I see you focused a lot on those. Lots of saucers, lots of colors.
Yeah. And you got to have a saucer. I mean, that really dresses up your pot. And even if you're putting your pot outside, and I know our folks love their patios. There are plenty of folks that come in and say, well, when I water it, I just don't want the dirt all over my patio. So I think I know in the 4 years I've been here, this is the best selection of saucers that we have. And I just sourced a new place that will be sending us some new ones, but I'm going to keep that to myself. That should hopefully be here in the next 2 weeks.
I haven't even heard of that
yet.
You
haven't.
So that's exciting. So direct from the source. So now what's the trend? What sizes are people going with when you're one of the consultants that go out, you represent waters in the field and design for folks? What are the sizes, styles that you're seeing? What are they planting in them?
Well, the nice thing is you can pretty much put anything in a pot. We've had folks that literally have bought pots that we could fit our entire planting crew in,
Yeah.
and put them
3-body pots.
yes, and put them in front of their barn, and they look stunning. Down to just little pots that they want to give as a gift with a succulent in it for Christmas. We've seen a lot of Emory-Riddle students coming in.
That's true, yeah.
To dress up
And
their
Prescott
dorm
College.
and Prescott
Yeah,
College to
both.
dress up their dorm rooms. And that's been really fun, seeing some younger people really excited about plants. And so we have, basically, I have every single size because there's so many different needs out there. The folks with these, the larger homes are tending to go with the larger pots,
Yeah, makes
especially at the front entrance. On either side of the front door, that's a big thing right now, with an evergreen that they dress up. So one of my clients did several large cobalt blue in front of her. Her house is kind of like a taupe color, and she put some boxwoods in there we both loved, and then she dresses them up with pansies right now for the winter, and then we talked about what she's going to do for spring as we get into summer to dress up some new annuals. So I just really feel like with the pottery, it just brightens up everything we have and our desert landscaping.
Yeah, I agree. One thing to watch, if you make a mistake, this is just experience from the years. If you're going to make a mistake, it'll be in scale. You get a pot. They look so big here at the garden center. You take them home, and your house just dwarfs it down. You're going, it's not even close to big.
Folks,
The post
that just happened to
dwarfs
some
it.
folks yesterday. They've been in every day exchanging a pot for a bigger one. I told them I was going to give them aprons and put them to work. They've been here so much.
So if in doubt, take the bigger one. And
Correct.
almost every time, that's the right. If you're going to make a mistake, make it in that direction. Bigger is better. It allows you to grow bigger things for longer. But small, just your house dwarfs things. It looks like you get this $500,000 house. It looks like you ran out of money because of 2 pots on either side of the door. You don't want that. So,
Right.
Amy Langley and our pottery buyer, designer here at Waters Garden Center extraordinaire. Thank you for coming in and
you so
sharing
much,
that with
Ken.
us, Amy. Okay, we will be back with more on the Mountain Gardener right after this.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to the Mountain Gardener.
Hi, Lisa here with the plants of the week and our Arizona Gold Euonymus.
An excellent choice for colored hedges and as tough as they come.
This evergreen displays bold gold, head-high foliage that grows even thicker when sheared.
A single shrub makes a bold statement, but in rows they make excellent visual and sound barriers.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love bold gold hedges, they love to shop.
Hi, Lisa with the plants of the week and our Austrian pine.
We have instantaneous trees just in and ready for fall planting.
This pine has the same long needles as our ponderosa pine without all the problems, and these trees are really big and bold.
This is the fastest growing of the pines, and lots of sizes to choose from, but the $249 model is exceptionally big.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love big, bold pines, they love to shop. You've tuned in to the Mountain Gardener with local garden expert Ken Lane. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
Well, I sure hope that you had a pleasant, safe Thanksgiving, that your holidays will be just blessed, will just be fun. Decorations are going up. I just love this time of year, driving through neighborhoods. We're putting ours up this weekend, so the outside and the inside. Probably not the Christmas tree. So I think we're going with a living Christmas tree this year. So living trees are, you've got cut trees. They're grown in a field. They're cut. The roots, they're cut severed from the roots. They're brought in. You put them on a tree stand. You decorate them, and they're dropping needles like crazy by the end of the holidays, by New Year's. Hopefully they make it past Christmas. Living trees are that, but they're on the roots. And so there, when you get done, you take it outside and you plant it out in the yard afterwards. They're great for that. They cost about the same as a cut tree. The negative, they'll be a little bit smaller, but they're on their roots. So the tree is physically smaller, but it's got that root ball. So it's sitting 2 feet above its root ball already. And then you can't keep them in the house quite as long. Because they're outdoor trees, they need to remain cold. We need to keep them asleep. And so you want to bring them in the house, use them a week, 10 days, no more than 2 weeks. I don't care what variety. It's not going to like that. And then you want to bring them back outdoors, get them used or acclimated to that cold again. Then you go plant them right out in the yard, January 2nd, whatever. And so that's the negative with them. But if you can go with the rhythm, you can keep that timing. If you can time things, it's a great way to go. Especially if you're in a new house, you need more landscaping. Boy, living trees are the way to go. Now, with that being said, be careful what variety you go with. You need to know there's all these desert varieties are brought up here and sold as living Christmas trees. Even houseplants. There's a houseplant variety of pine tree that will not grow outdoors. The desert pine trees don't grow outdoors up at elevation. They'll get cold, and there's all kinds of diseases they get on. I could go on and on. So make sure you're doing your homework. You're buying a mountain pine or spruce that you can plant in your yard that will thrive afterwards in our climate. So just know who you're buying it from. Don't just go into Costco or the box stores or whatever, big orange and blues. Go, oh, that looks good. I'll take that. Use it for a week or two and then plant it outdoors. It might just die. And it wasn't you. They just brought their Phoenix inventory up here and sold it in the mountains. And you were doomed from the second you put that thing in your cart. Just be aware. And then there's all the fake, plastic Chinese stuff. Smells like dust. I don't know. We're going living tree this year. Anyway, enjoy your decorating. Enjoy the poinsettias, the amaryllis, the Christmas cactus, all the holiday garden stuff that happens, the rosemaries, the lavenders that are just decorated, made to look better than almost not real, but they're beautiful. And yes, you can continue to garden, have something living, thriving in your indoor space, even your outdoor gardens, if you plan it just right. And we're here to help. I mean, Lisa and I, we camp out here. We're here all weekend long for this Shop Small, support your small business folks, this American Express Shop Small thing. I realize everyone's going to rush Walmart anyway. I just afterwards come say hi. We're here all weekend. We love talking to fans of the show or talking plants up with folks. And we love hanging out with gardeners, those folks that love funky hats and great gloves and just being out in fresh air. We love talking to gardeners. As I started the show, to my Jewish friends, may you have a blessed Hanukkah. To my Christian friends, the merriest of Christmas. And to everyone else, have the happiest of holidays from all of us here at Waters Garden Center.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener.
Look, if your wife, mom, or dad wants a sweater for Christmas, get them a sweater, not some piece of plastic.
But if someone you truly care about loves their garden, a gift card to Waters makes perfect sense.
Next spring, she can pick out exactly what she was hoping for.
We all know it's not the same thing as a huge hanging basket or a fragrant rose, but hey, it's winter. Gardeners understand.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. Also at watersgardencenter.com. The holidays are here in the Christmas City, bringing family and friends together and those chilly winter winds. While you're decorating the outside, don't forget to brighten your inside with exotic holiday plants from Waters. Beautiful poinsettias and Christmas cactus are coming to town, grown exclusively for Waters in colors you won't find anywhere else. Unique, vibrant, and guaranteed to warm up even the dreariest of winter days. Check your list twice for all the holiday plants, only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
If you want a more fruitful garden, increased success in your landscape that just feels better, then tune in every week to The Mountain Gardener. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.